The Yamaha TDM850 and the BMW F 800 GS are two motorcycles that may appeal to riders seeking versatility, but they approach the concept from different angles. The TDM850, produced during the 1990s and early 2000s, was often considered a crossover machine before the term became popular. It combines elements of a sport touring bike with upright ergonomics and decent ground clearance, making it comfortable for long-distance travel while still capable of handling twisty roads. Its 849cc parallel twin engine delivers smooth and reliable power with a focus on road performance rather than pure off-road ability. The TDM850 was designed for riders who wanted one motorcycle that could handle a wide range of conditions, but it leaned more toward the asphalt side of riding. On the other hand, the BMW F 800 GS was introduced in the late 2000s as a more adventure-focused motorcycle. Its 798cc parallel twin engine provides strong mid-range torque and enough power for touring, while its long travel suspension, spoked wheels, and higher ground clearance clearly target riders who want to venture off-road. The F 800 GS became popular among adventure riders because of its ability to handle gravel, dirt tracks, and even light trail riding while still being comfortable on highways. BMW's reputation for adventure touring and the inclusion of advanced electronics such as ABS and optional traction control gave it a modern edge over older designs like the TDM. Vibration and sound characters. The Yamaha TDM850, with its parallel twin engine featuring a 360-degree crankshaft in the early models, and later a 270-degree crank, has a very distinct character. The earlier version produces a classic parallel twin throb, which can feel somewhat buzzy at higher RPM, especially transmitted through the handlebars and foot pegs. The later 270-degree version, however, delivers a firing order closer to a V-twin, giving it a deeper, more syncopated beat. The vibrations, while still noticeable, tend to be more characterful than intrusive, and many riders describe them as adding personality to the machine rather than discomfort. On the other hand, the BMW F 800 GS uses a parallel twin with a 360-degree firing order that is engineered with balance shafts to minimize vibration. The result is a smoother ride overall, especially at sustained highway speeds. Vibrations are more controlled, though some riders note a high-frequency buzz at certain rev ranges, particularly through the seat and handlebars. Compared to the TDM850, it feels more refined and modern in its delivery, focusing on comfort during long-distance touring rather than raw character. In terms of sound, the TDM850 produces a growl that is surprisingly throaty for a parallel twin, especially with aftermarket exhausts. It has a unique exhaust note that stands out as unconventional, sitting somewhere between a V-twin rumble and an inline-4 smoothness. The BMW F 800 GS, in contrast, has a more muted and functional sound signature. It is less about emotional presence and more about efficiency and subtlety, offering a controlled exhaust tone that blends into its adventure touring character. Impact on handling and center of gravity. The Yamaha TDM850 was designed as a sport touring machine with a road-biased character. Its parallel twin engine sits relatively high in the frame, and the bike carries a slightly top-heavy feel. This influences handling by making the TDM agile at higher speeds, but a bit cumbersome in slow, tight maneuvers. The center of gravity is not particularly low, so riders often notice the bike requires deliberate input when leaning into corners or when balancing at low speed. On the other hand, the BMW F 800 GS is built with adventure and off-road versatility in mind. One of its most distinctive engineering choices is the under-seat fuel tank. By relocating the fuel mass lower and toward the rear, BMW created a bike with a noticeably lower and more centralized center of gravity. This design decision gives the F 800 GS excellent balance, especially when maneuvering in tricky off-road terrain or when carrying luggage. Handling feels lighter and more neutral, allowing the rider to shift weight and control the bike with less effort. It is also more forgiving in low-speed situations, such as technical trails or city traffic. TDM850 favors long sweeping roads and higher speed stability, where its weight distribution supports confidence at lean. Meanwhile, the F800 GS delivers superior control in varied environments, with a clear advantage in off-road agility and low-speed handling. While both bikes offer engaging experiences, the TDM850 leans towards sport touring precision with a higher center of gravity, and the F800 GS demonstrates how thoughtful mass placement can transform handling and rider confidence in diverse conditions. Handling and undercarriage. The Yamaha TDM850 leans toward a sport touring, road-oriented setup. Its front suspension is a conventional telescopic fork with adjustable preload and rebound damping. Rear travel is moderate. The TDM uses a monocross single shock. The bike is relatively narrow and compact, which gives it nimble, precise responses in winding roads. Riders often say the TDM walks away from sport bikes on rough surfaces because its suspension is more controlled and less indulgent than older large twins. The TDM geometry and chassis put the rider more in the bike rather than perched high, aiding stability and confidence through curves. In contrast, the BMW F800 GS is a middleweight adventure touring machine with suspension and handling tuned for mixed road and light off-road terrain. It uses a more compliant suspension with longer travel, allowing for absorption of rough surfaces without upsetting the chassis. Its setup is more stability biased, especially at speed or under load, giving confidence in straight lines and over-undulating terrain. That said, reviewers point out that the F800 suspension can feel harsher when hitting potholes, and it does not have the same poise or finesse as more premium or semi-active setups. On twisty tarmac, the GS 19-inch front wheel and adventure geometry can feel a little heavy at low speeds, though at higher speeds it becomes planted and sure-footed. In cornering, the TDM more road-oriented bias gives it sharper turn-in and a lighter feel. In contrast, the F800 GS trades some flickability for confidence and composure over uneven surfaces. Under braking and heavy loads, the BMW tends to remain stable, with strong balance between front and rear while loaded. Still, some riders criticize the F800 GS fork as too soft or underdamped in more aggressive riding, recommending upgrades to get better behavior.